The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Sonic Web Studios specializes in custom web design, app development, social networking, search engine optimization, domain registration, email marketing, online stores, and more. Since our birth, we have been designing and developing immaculate websites and providing web solutions which are a cut above the rest. As a leading web designing enterprise, we have a team of extremely talented web designers who are well-focused and have the experience of working on multiple web developing platforms such as PHP, Magento, Custom WordPress, and more. Sonic Web Studios has been helping businesses of all kinds, whether big, small, established, or startup, impress their audiences with exemplary web solutions. We don't just create beautiful and functional websites. We give you a complete online solution with the main goal of enhancing your yearly revenues. We aim to give your business the online exposure and brand acknowledgement that will help you in achieving increased conversions leading to profitable sales. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show. It's time to give a shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international award-winning author Mian Mohsen Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, then you'll love Missing by Mian Mohsen Zia. Available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. It takes place in 4 countries with 2 strangers and 1 target where truth is an illusion and those you love will be the first to go missing. It's available in paperback and ebook on Amazon. Missing by Mian Mohsen Zia has garnered great reviews and is even loved by Hollywood celebrities including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today. Order Missing by Mian Mohsen Zia, now available at Amazon.
It's now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartradio, YouTube, iTunes, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and the MikeWagnerShow.com. Mike brings you great guests and interesting people from all across the globe. So sit back, relax, and enjoy another great episode of the Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition way. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, time to give an official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international award-winning author Mian Mohsen Zia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you love Missing by Mian Mohsen Zia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, and 1 target, where truth is an illusion and those you love be the first to go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mian Mohsen Zia has garnered great reviews and even loved and endorsed by Hollywood celebrities, including Joanna Cassidy, Forbes Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today before it goes missing by Mian Mohsen Zia, available on Amazon. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at facebook.com/the Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible, and Apple. Coming soon to Podbean, Buzzsprout, Pandora, and TuneIn. Heard worldwide on Geo 7, Radio Public, Himalaya, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel and follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. Don't forget to support the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, and also support us on PayPal and Anchor FM. And for great gift ideas, including t-shirts, long sleeve, hoodies, pop sockets, and a lot more, go to Amazon.com/the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, including Missing by Mian Mohsen Zia and other great gift ideas, go to Amazon.com/Mian Mohsen Zia and order today. We're here with a terrific lady who's backed by popular demand, and she wrote some books, including the Columbus Food Truck, the Best of Trailer Food Diaries, including Austin, Dallas, and Houston. We talked about that earlier. I think it was last year, something like that. I'm still hungry from all this. And also had a book called Meet Maddie, and Chicago native, and went to school at Ohio University and back again, as you can tell, her alma mater as well. And of course, she worked in advertising for Leo Burnett Agency, also the Draft FCB and Wordham and more, and also wrote for Columbus magazine, and also worked with a number of authors, and she's also doing some mentoring. And what she's been doing during the pandemic, we'll find out more. And live, ladies and gentlemen, back again from the Plus Studios in beautiful downtown Columbus, the very, very multi-talented from the Columbus Food Truck, and yes, the best of trailer food diaries, and still hungry for more despite what's going on with the pandemic, author Renee Casteel Cook. Renee, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us once again.
Thanks, Mike, for having me back.
Oh my gosh, you know something? I mean, we had a lot of popular demand, having you back because you wrote the Columbus Food Truck and also the best of trailer food diaries. You were in Austin, Dallas, and Houston. You also wrote Meet Maddie as well too. And before you get into all those books and what you've been up to, once again, quickly tell us how I got started.
Yeah, so about 6 years ago, when I relocated from Chicago to Columbus, Ohio, I took a look around, and the mobile food scene here in Columbus was really something to take note of, because in Chicago, there were a lot of restrictions as in terms of being able to cook actually on the truck. They were very limited. And so we had a plethora of cupcake trucks, but no actual food. Whereas in Columbus, there were just all these different diversity of nationalities, ethnicities represented in the types of cuisine. And sort of serendipitously, I'd been in Austin, Texas, the Mecca, if you will. Some people will argue Portland, but I'm going to give them equal billing. Well, food trucks.
Right now, that's pretty much the debate where it's like people are leaving California and coming to Austin, people leaving Portland to come to Austin. It's like everybody is now coming to Austin. That's the whole thing. I mean, it's changed ever since we had you on the show. I mean, Austin's just, exploding all of a sudden. It could be like another New York.
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want to go to Austin, right? There's not much bad to say. But certainly, there's been a lot of change in the mobile food scene in Portland in the last year. And obviously, there's been a lot of change in the city of Portland in general. But for Columbus, especially where I'm based, the mobile food scene has done quite well during the pandemic, all things considered. People have been willing and very anxious to still find the trucks and get their food in a very safe way, where they've already been accustomed to carry out, and the businesses haven't had to pivot in such a dramatic shift, whereas a lot of brick and mortars have needed to kind of adjust menus, certainly account for the fact that they don't need as much staff in front of the house. And so I think the mobile food scene, to segue us kind of easily into the pandemic in this past interesting year, we'll leave it at that. Mobile food scene was well positioned to support the needs of diners during all of this. And I think certainly in sort of 365 outdoor markets like Austin, but even in markets where that isn't such the case, we certainly had a winter this year in Columbus on top of everything else. We had to, kind of endure that. And the food truck scene helped us get through that.
Mm-hmm. And of course, too, when it comes to food truck scene and everything else, did that also help like with the third-party deliveries, like say Uber Eats, DoorDash, and I think Grubhub and some of the other local delivery services? Had they been helped by that, or had they pretty much helped all the other carriers, like with Uber Eats and all that?
I think a little bit of both. I definitely think that a lot of restaurants that sort of would never have considered using a third-party delivery service were pushed in that direction. But because those third-party services had been used to delivering from maybe brick and mortars that were accustomed to those services, but also from food trucks, we've always had a good relationship, at least in this market, between delivery services and our mobile trucks. We actually have an organization here called Cluster Truck. And
Oh, sure,
they're
sure.
big on just that, delivering food from food trucks, which is, a unique proposition because you think, oh, well, I've got to go track down this truck. But no, instead, someone can go do that for you and they can bring the food to you. My mom's a big fan. She doesn't like driving around town, even with her street food finder app. She's like, no, that's just too far. Or no, that's, up the hill. She doesn't like to drive or whatever it may be. And so, I do think that a lot of these delivery services have forged partnerships that perhaps they wouldn't have otherwise had, both from brick and mortar restaurants as well as the food trucks.
hmm And of course, the food trucks as well too. With the pandemic and everything, it's like what cuisine has pretty much have gone up with the pandemic. What stayed the same? What has went down? And how many food trucks have actually increased or decreased during the pandemic?
Yeah, I don't know of many new openings. I know of a handful, but I do think that's probably slowed based on, just a difficult environment to open any type of business in. But I also haven't heard of as many closures. And I think that's twofold. I think the trucks have been able to sustain business when they haven't had perhaps as much competition from brick and mortars.
hmm
But I also think there haven't been as many trucks with an eye towards brick and mortar. So whereas a lot of times you would see someone who had opened a food truck looking towards opening, a restaurant, they've obviously not been looking to do that during the last year. And they've been sort of maintaining and growing their food truck operations. So I think if anything, it has been a good year for the mobile scene in that we haven't seen the attrition that is very typical when we see some of our most loved trucks, close up and move towards a permanent space for good, for good and for bad. There's a lot of bonuses for having a permanent space. And there's a lot of, remorse over the fact that we can't just go find them at the spots maybe that we like to pick them up at. So I do think it's been an interesting, challenging year across the board in the restaurant scene. But I would say that if there was a piece of it that was better positioned, the piece that I've taken my career writing about has actually been quite successful amidst all the things. People are just tired of cooking, frankly.
Oh, tell me about it. It's like there are days it's like, hey, I'm ready to cook a 7-course meal, or there are days you just want to get something from Kentucky Fried Chicken or just, go to the drive-thru at McDonald's or something, or you got the new the things out there like say with Hello Fresh and others, that deliver meals to your door. Those are the new things.
Yeah, definitely. That's one approach. And who hasn't made banana bread and all the way down to your own sourdough starter, in the last 12 months. So I think it's really run the gamut of people just tired of trying to feed their family I have small children, so more like 5 times a day.
hmm
And they're looking for options that are still safe and are convenient and are quick. And the food truck scene checks the box of all of those. And our books are thankfully well positioned in the sense of, do you want to make those recipes at home? If you're maybe even not in a place where you're ready to go out and receive a meal from a food truck, you just want to stay home and make those meals, we've got recipes for you to give that a go.
Oh,
And
interesting.
if you are ready to go and try some of those food, we've always had a really interesting niche for the books where people will take them and use them as a travel guide for that city, which I've loved because it wasn't something that was intentional, to be quite honest. It was something that happened organically. We had people taking the book around and having chefs, as long as there wasn't a long line at the truck. They're very gracious people. They were gracious enough to tell us their stories and share their recipes. And they're willing to sign the book and have a little conversation about, their inclusion in it and the recipes that they chose to provide. So that was a happy accident, if you will, that people chose to use the book that way.
It sounds like a happy accident as well, too. You had Austin, Dallas, and Houston. And of course, one thing before going into other cities, which has grown as well, too. Of course, what happened in the whole state of Texas in February, where, up in North Dakota, we're supposed to get the ice, the snow, the hail, the high winds and everything. It all went south and nobody in Texas knew what to do. And I'm pretty sure that took a big hit with the food trucks and everything else. And of course, after that storm, how long did it take for them to recover to get back to operating as normal?
Sure. I'm sure there are trucks that are still working through that, frankly. I'm from Chicago, so Winter to us is all those things that you just mentioned. But when you're not from a place that has preparedness measures, of course, at that same level, I most recently lived through, I think it would have been about 6 or 7 years ago, just before relocating, the blizzard in Chicago, which puts us at 2015, 2014-ish.
About there.
Yeah. And we had somewhere around 28 inches of snow in 24 hours. My meteorology is not great, but I remember.
That's good. Weathermen are correct only 50%
Yeah,
of the
they're
time.
not right either. So I just make up some
they're only
numbers.
correct 50% of the time, but they still make six figures.
Exactly. It seems like a good career. I imagine it takes far more schooling than any of us realize. But I remember a bicycle that was covered almost to the seat. And that's, kind of where you look at your foot stick and you're like, wow, yeah, this is a lot of snow. Your yardstick, I guess, at that point would be. So again, in Chicago, it's just kind of a thing you roll with. And yet the city even shut down for something like that. Friends in Austin had communicated to me the severity of what everyone down there went through. And I can't even imagine, even having a background growing up in Midwestern winters. And Columbus, my husband likes to tell me and my mother, is south, but it's certainly still not the south. So we're still pretty prepared here for winter. We had a rough one this year too. I think it was just, felt like after 10 months of COVID, we got 2 months of piling it on with snow and cold and winter, frankly. But we're through it now, and I think we're looking at the spring, and I think in a big way we're looking at spring across the board, right? There's a lot of optimism. I think a lot of things are starting to open back up in a lot of ways, and I believe that applies to most of the mobile food scene as well down there.
Mm-hmm. And of course, you also had listed the cities that have been happening when it comes to food scene. And what are some of the brand new cities? The cities that you are aware of, or people have given you word that are more up and coming of food trucks, like say, for example, Cleveland, Buffalo, Detroit, Pittsburgh, or even Los Angeles. What are some of the up and coming cities that are about to have a lot of food trucks? Similar to Columbus, Chicago, Austin, Dallas, and Houston. It's like, what are some of the new cities that are pretty much up and coming with a lot of food trucks?
What I love about the mobile food scene is it seems to be everywhere. I've gone on vacation over the last 5 years in a number of places that you would not expect to see food trucks. So some of the cold weather cities that you just mentioned have quite the scene, and it really depends on the local government supporting it, allowing them to have places to park, maybe have pods, which are very popular in the major markets like Portland and Austin, where the mobile food scene really got its start and took off. Columbus is starting to pull together some of those pods. I think we talked last time about the significant relationship that we have with breweries here, and food trucks and breweries.
That's right.
Have such great, symbiosis. And I've seen a lot of that in towns people don't even know of, fly under the radar, like Grand Rapids, Michigan, for example, great brewery town. They're seeing a lot of food trucks come into that picture as well. I remember being down south a bit and starting to see trucks in Charleston, South Carolina. Wow. The seaside Fort Walton Beaches area in Florida it has a little kind of grouping there. So I think you're hard pressed at this point to find a city that doesn't have at least a couple of great trucks. We have a fantastic donut truck that, for better or for worse, parks 2 blocks away from my house every weekend.
A donut truck, I can use some right now.
Yeah, well, to the point where my 19 coffee and donuts for you. My 19-month-old twins don't think it's Sunday morning unless there are donuts. And there are, above average, definitely an artisan style donut called Tupelo. And they take their inspiration from Tupelo honey from Savannah, Georgia. Mm-hmm. So, I think there's a lot of bringing different cultures and different cuisines sort of north and then taking them south. And I think that's a really nice way to trade experiences and to, trade different menu items that perhaps you wouldn't get to experience in that city in a brick and mortar format because of the very high cost of overhead. So that's always been an advantage of food trucks, which, makes them so unique and special, I think, to the dining scene.
Mm-hmm. And what's next for the food truck industry in terms of trends, menus, and everything else? What's the next coming trend for food trucks?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think this last year really put a little bit of a pause on everybody, right? And so I think we're regrouping in a big way to figure out, okay, are we really moving towards brick and mortar? Because it always seemed that food trucks had their eye towards, we were going to build up a customer base and then we're going to get a permanent location. I'm not sure that that's everybody's end goal anymore. I think with the last year having really had a big impact on having a permanent location and the restrictions that were put on those types of spots, the dream has changed perhaps to having a fleet of trucks
Yes.
and really being able to do multiple events, to be across the city, maybe even be in multiple markets.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned Los Angeles, and in a way, Los Angeles is the birth of a certain kind of food truck, or a certain kind of street food, if you will. The Kogi truck has long been lauded as the original fusion taco because it was
Fusion taco.
It was a Mexican Korean taco. The Kogi truck was or is, I should say. I believe it's still in operation. And it kind of melded these two cuisines in a way that was very approachable, because everybody knows what a taco is, especially in Los Angeles. But not everyone perhaps had tried the certain kinds of Korean meats that were being included. So perhaps we'll see a bit more of that, a bit more melding of different cultures and cuisines. What I have always loved about this portion, this little subsection of the food industry, because I've worked in my advertising career on food and beverage clients. Some of the ones you mentioned are our favorite fast feeders. And definitely they serve a purpose. They have a large role in our society, both today and in our history of kind of where we've come from. But I feel like the mobile food scene has this ability to transcend the everyday fast food and what you would accept from that type of, I order and my food is there by the time I get to the next window, right? These trucks have an ability to really do something upmarket, to bring these different flavors that people are more willing to try. They don't just want the ubiquitous. And there is certainly comfort in the idea that I can go to a McDonald's in Columbus, Ohio, and I can go to a McDonald's in Austin, Texas, and I can go to a McDonald's in Portland, Oregon, and I'm getting the same Big Mac, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if I go to a taco truck in those three cities, I'm getting a very different experience. And I think that is unique to those that are seeking out a mobile food experience, are very open and willing and desiring of those new flavors. So I think there's a lot of room to grow and continue to experiment with what the offering is and why. There's always, hence why we wrote books about it. There's always a story behind why the people make the food they make in that environment, which I love. It's always a very personal endeavor.
Mm-hmm. And it sounds amazing too. And of course, on the subject of tacos as well, too, it doesn't have to be on wheels. It can be like a little tent as well. And then I used to service clients up in the western half of North Dakota, where I go up to Williston, and there's a small taco stand, which is like, in a sense, it's a mobile truck, but in a sense, it's just like the stay in plates. It's in a town called Arnegard, very small, maybe like 10, 20, 30 people, little taco stand. Best street tacos on the planet. They cook their own meat. They shred their own pork. They shred their own steak, everything all together. And it's a meal, and it's well worth it. It's a really, really tiny, just one little bench. But you know something? You got a line that just have workers coming in and just lining up. Small town in Arnegard, North Dakota. So if you get a chance, just look it up, and maybe you guys can head up there. You can also check out some of the interesting food over there too. So yeah, so I think of tacos, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like makes you want to set up your own taco stand. So.
Well, if you'll indulge me, I'll tell you a little story about my alma mater there behind me in the Zoom background, because you don't want to see my office right now. Again, those young children leave their things behind.
Oh, something? I think you should see my office. It's like, I think we'll have to do a comparing one day, make it real reality.
I know. Everyone should tell. It's like your Instagram office versus your real office. No one wants to see the before and after.
This is real office here.
Yeah, I like it. Well, I went to school in Athens, Ohio, and there is actually, I mean, for a town of 16,000 undergrad, maybe 30 some with grad students, and what we call townies, people that actually live in Athens.
Mm-hmm.
Which of course, as a college student, you could never imagine. And it's not just professors that live there. There is a population. There are a number, maybe almost a dozen, at least a half dozen of food trucks. And this was there. It wasn't new, when I was there in 2000 to 2004. And so upon writing this book, I had a gentleman reach out to me. And he said, I owned a food truck down in Athens in the 1970s. Would you like to get together and see some photos? And I said, of course, that'd be fantastic. Just a trip down memory lane. And he just took me on this wild ride of how he was a college student. There was a food truck that he used to frequent all the time, of course, probably late night after being uptown for a bit. And it was going to be for sale. And he and a friend just couldn't see it go. And they took it over and they slung sandwiches, to the midnight crowd, the midnight and beyond.
Slung sandwiches to the midnight crowd.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And that's how they made their money through college.
Wow.
And he ended up selling it when he was graduating. It wasn't something he wanted to continue doing, but he loved it. And it was part of his college experience, and he jokes that it probably made sure he graduated because it meant he wasn't part of the late night crowd. But what a great fun story and a connection that I honestly, how would I have ever made? This gentleman was in his 60s, I believe, when I met him. And we stay in touch a little bit. If one of us sees an interesting article about Ohio University, once a Bobcat, always a Bobcat, we exchange that. And it's just sort of a fun friendship that we developed because I wrote this Columbus Food Truck Cookbook and because he had owned a food truck down in Athens. So, it's interesting how your paths in life sort of lead you, winding as they may be. In fact, I would have never written either food truck cookbook had it not been for that trip to Austin and picking up Tiffany's original book, which was Trailer Food Diaries Austin, and then reaching out to her about bringing her series over to the East Coast, which Columbus isn't quite the East Coast, but we're on our way there.
It feels like the East Coast, the way this whole climate is going too. And of course, you're on the subject of Ohio University. It's like I went to school at Southern Illinois University in Carbondale. Go Dogs! And I have a similar thing with a food truck, except you're on Main Street. And if you want to get a beer, get a pizza late night or something, you had to stop at the bagel cart, which is called the Bagel Man, which it was a grill. And of course, you grill bagels on and you ask for, what do you want? He puts the butter on, puts on the cream cheese, and then he just all kinds, cucumbers, green peppers, raisins, nuts, and everything you can imagine. He'll put it on for you and maybe just cost $1 or something. I get that on purpose before just going down to a couple of bars, watch some bands and have a few buds and all that. So it's like, or afterwards you had too much, you just got yourself a couple of bagels from the Bagel Man and you get a lot of money off it. Yes. Oh my gosh.
We had a similar hot dog vendor named Coney Joe. He's not in operation anymore, but he was a good friend of my husband's on the way back to his fraternity house.
Oh my gosh. And then fast forward up to North Dakota. I mean, we have no hot dog stands, but it's like we went to a Menards, shop for lumber and everything. And my wife says, I'm hungry. And I see a hot dog truck and I end up ordering like maybe 4, 5, 6 hot dogs for everybody. And the guy's like, I'm so happy for you from Chicago. I says, yeah, I'm glad you had a hot dog truck because we're dying for just an old Chicago hot dog up in North Dakota.
Well, now, did he have all the right toppings is the question.
He did have the right toppings.
One Chicago into another.
Yes, he had everything on there. And I think he was originally from Los Angeles, believe it or not. And had, just toured all over and he was aware of everything, Chicago dog, Chicago pizza and fish tacos and, just about everything in between. And he traveled all over. And it's just, man, I was surprised coming from Los Angeles and he knew what Chicago dog was. It was amazing.
As long as he didn't put ketchup on it, he's all right.
Oh man, tell him to put that for the fries. And not only you wrote, books about the Columbus food truck, the best of trailer food diaries. You also wrote Meet Maddie. We talked about that brief. We'll talk about once again, but first listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, time to give an official shout out to our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international award-winning author Mia Mosensia. If you love fast-paced mysteries, you love Missing by Mia Mosensia, available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing is fast-paced and intriguing with an unforgettable twist. Takes place in 4 countries, 2 strangers, and 1 target, where truth is an illusion and those you love be the first to go missing. It's available on Amazon in paperback and ebook. Missing by Mia Mosensia has garnered great reviews and even loved and endorsed by Hollywood celebrities, including Renee Casteel, Forbes Riley, and many others. So grab your copy today before it goes missing by Mia Mosensia, available on Amazon. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible, and Apple. Coming soon to Podbean, Buzzsprout, Pandora, and TuneIn. Heard worldwide on Geo 7, Radio Public, Himalaya, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel and follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. Don't forget to support the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com. Also on PayPal and Anchor FM. And for great gift ideas, including pop sockets, hoodies, t-shirt, and more, go to Amazon.com/the Mike Wagner Show podcast. And for more great gift ideas, including Me Emotions Missing and more, go to Amazon.com/Me Emotions and order today. We're here with, backed by popular demand, author Renee Casteel Cook of the Columbus Food Truck, Best of Trailer Food Diaries, and a lot more on the Mike Wagner Show. All this stuff just made me so hungry. I was going to go grab a pizza and call a food truck, but I think they're just too busy right now. This is going to call. I'll probably have to get Uber Eats to get them to deliver. And did you want something from there too I can order for you?
You know, I have been doing a lot of recipe testing lately for some authors that I am helping out. So
nice. Okay.
I should probably just send you some things, and that way you don't even have to order.
Okay. Sounds good. You can send it to my phone too, by the way. We'll get back to you. And then,
all right. That sounds good.
Okay. Sounds good. And then before we talk about your latest venture, and you also had Meet Maddie as well too. And we talked a little bit about that. And how's that book coming so far? And once again, tell us a bit more about it.
Yeah, so Meet Maddie was a little bit of a sidestep, if you will. I decided to write a children's book, mostly for my own child. So at the time, I just had the one, and she was quite enough inspiration. But I've actually added 2 more little girls to the gang over here. And so I have a 5.5-year-old, and I have 19-month-old as of just today, twins.
Wow.
And so we are working. So we actually had a second book in motion. So first we met Maddie, and then Maddie is to meet the multiples. That's our little play on
Maddie and the multiples.
Maddie meets the multiples. Yeah.
It sounds like a new band coming out, almost
right,
like a boy band, girl band, whatever it is. Maddie and the multiples. I can see
Funny
that
you
coming.
Should say that. They were quite having the dance party rock out session before I jumped on with you tonight. The older one thinks she can play guitar, and the little ones just dance at the moment. But we shall see where they take their skills. But a little before COVID happened, I actually found out that my illustrator from the first book wasn't going to be available for the second book. And so we decided to take a little pause. And that's actually when I pivoted, and I'm actually repackaging it into a series. So instead of just being a book or 2, we're looking to do a bit of a content piece. And we've got Maddie, meeting a lot of folks. We've got Maddie meeting Santa Claus, for those that believe in that. We've got Maddie meeting her kindergarten teacher for the first time. So we've got a lot of different life experiences coming for Maddie that we're hopeful will get picked up and perhaps made into something beyond a book even. So, that's where Maddie is these days. She was pretty active on her Facebook channel during the early days of COVID, but she's taken a little bit of a hiatus. Those multiples have given her a run for her money.
They probably kidnapped her and took her to a food truck or something.
Yes, when Maddie's mother lost all of her childcare options during the coronavirus, we decided
more donuts, tacos, donuts, tacos.
Right, donuts and tacos. That's our Sunday morning around here. So you will see Maddie return, I believe. I'm hopeful for, if not late 21, 22, Maddie will make her comeback, and she might even have a couple of cohorts. So that will be fun. But when I mentioned the recipe testing, part of the pivot, as I think we all pivoted in, the word of the year for 2020 should just be pivot. Pivot. And I've joked with many people that I was in a bit of self-isolation after having twins for the first, let's call it 6 months. And then we all went into self-isolation. So I'm well practiced at this point, 18 months, 19 months in. My poor twins have basically never met people. And so we're working on a reintroduction to society. Certainly they know their grandparents and a couple of very close family friends, but thankfully, part of the pivot has opened me up to supporting some other aspiring authors. And a lot of that work has been through Spellbound Publishers, which our mutual friend, Tiffany Herlick, is the founder and lead over there. And I have been fortunate enough to do some copy editing on her team, some recipe testing. I think that Tiff just really has this ability to shepherd aspiring authors into the arena, and Spellbound is well positioned as a hybrid publisher to both offer some of the luxuries of independent publishing, which, some of the control over your own title, some of the decision making that you might not have with a traditional publisher, and some of the financials, but also with the support that a lot of authors need and would receive on the traditional side, but might not if they were going it completely alone and just uploading their book and having it printed somewhere. So I have really been enjoying partnering with authors, and I've brought to life a pizza cookbook. Less of a cookbook, more of a sort of stories of pizza places book. And then I'm currently working on a project with a chef that actually had to close her restaurant during COVID. As part of her pivot, and she's a food truck chef. She was in both of my books. She opened a brick and mortar. She's done so many great things. It's just a person that you really, has her heart in this business and her soul. And she is now working on a children's cookbook that is a series that steps kids up, that actually teaches them, here are the basics. Here are the fundamentals. And now that you've built upon those, here's where you might take this if you really want to make a career of it. And she's got potentially a 3-book series that she's working on that takes you, through the ages. My daughter being probably in the youngest group at age 5. So maybe let's call it a 5 to 7, a 7 to 10 and a 10 to 15 kind of situation in terms of where your skill level is. We don't want to give the little ones the mandolin or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's been exciting, to see other people that don't have a cookbook under their belt really have these ideas, and to help kind of shepherd them, as Tiffany did with myself, to say, hey, here are the things to watch out for. Here are the things that readers really spark to. Color photography at the end of the day is where it's at with cookbooks, right? We want to see our food before we eat it.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been kind of keeping myself busy with. And, it's interesting, I guess, as being a parent at this point, sometimes it's not your work that makes you the most excited or the most proud. It's other people's work that you had a little bit of a hand in.
And I think that's amazing too. I've got 4 kids myself, and 3 are grown. I've got one that's about to be 17 in July, and when they're all together, they all love to cook. So my wife and I just sit back and just watch them have fun with the kitchen. And one is about to become an aspiring chef as well too, and going to culinary school and everything like that. And I just give him some tips. He gives me some really good ideas. And of course, getting back to the whole recipe testing, and what are some of the recipes you're currently testing besides pizza?
Yeah, so we have tested a chocolate cake recipe that my daughter actually turned into cupcakes. So she made the cake first, and then she turned it into cupcakes. And then she made up her own frosting, which we're from Ohio at this point. So I will just admit that it was a peanut butter frosting. We had to go with the Buckeye combination.
Peanut butter frosting. Oh my gosh, you're making me hungry.
And a chocolate cupcake. There's really, no other answer when you live in Columbus, Ohio. Go Buckeyes. Even though my husband didn't grow up a Buckeyes fan, his offspring might. And then I have plans for a biscuit recipe that we just got sent from the chef that's working on this series of books. And I think that might be making it to either our Easter or Mother's Day table or potentially both. But yeah, I look forward to the day where I can see my 3 girls in the kitchen safely by themselves. The littlest one really likes to be at the grill, which is frightening when you're 19 months old.
Oh my gosh. I think she'll have to come over and, put a test on that too. So the youngest on the grill. Oh my gosh. I can imagine that happening. Maddie and the grill. I like that.
Maddie and the grill. Yeah. We'll be making a blooper reel of that one.
Hey, that's a good one. Make a little video or something. It's like, Maddie's bloopers or something, do something like that. So
yeah, you never know. There's a lot of extensions. So a big part of Maddie's personality is the fact that she likes mismatched socks and even mismatched outfits. And this came from, I think everybody, especially that has little girls, knows the phase of life where your daughter wants to wear something that to you is just totally socially unacceptable. The nice thing for the last year is that we haven't done anything socially. So my children have worn whatever they want. And especially the twins, because we don't want them to argue, but I'm also not the type of twin mom where everything matches. And I think that's mostly because I have an older child. And so we have a lot of things from her. So I'm not about to buy 2 of everything. We just, use the big one's clothes. And so when they want to argue over something, I'll give you the example of pajamas, since we already talked about the older one's penchant for a tutu with her pajamas. The little ones, I just put a shirt from one set of pajamas on one and the pants from the other set. And then I reverse it for the other one. So they're automatically mismatched. And yet they love it. This is how we institute sharing in a family with multiples. So I think you may see some of that in the forthcoming Maddie books, where it's not just the socks that don't match. It might be a whole coordination of fashion.
And we're certainly looking forward to that. And what's coming up for Renee Casteel Cook, we'll find out in just 1 minute. You listen to the Mike Wagner Show at the MikeWagnerShow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at SonicWebStudios.com for all your needs. Also brought to you by our official sponsor of the Mike Wagner Show, international war-winning author Mia Moshenzia of Missing, available on Amazon and paperback and ebook. We'll be back with author Renee Casteel Cook and of Meet Maddie, the Columbus Food Truck, Best of Trailer, Food Truck Diaries, and more. We'll be back with what's coming up with Renee Casteel Cook after this time out.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Hey everybody, my name is Forbes Riley, and I'm an American actress and a TV host. And I was delighted when I got my copy of Missing, which is Extraordinary Relation of Ordinary People based on a real-life relationship. It's well written. It's amazing. It talks about a man who has lost his wife and his daughter, and it's very well done. I'm going to highly recommend that you go get your copy of Missing. It is a powerful, exciting read. Mr. Mia Moshenzia. He is the author of Missing. And I want to give a big shout out and a kiss all the way halfway around the world to my dear friend. Check him out at Mia's website. It's called www.miamoshenzia.com. Missing, available on Amazon. Again, I'm Forbes Riley, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from The Mike Wagner Show. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on over 30 podcast platforms, including Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible, Apple, and more. Coming soon to Podbean, Buzzsprout, Pandora, and TuneIn, where The Mike Wagner Show interviews great guests, cool conversation, lots of laughs, coffee, and more. Take The Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to The Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel, and follow The Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today.
Hey, this is Ray Powers. And if there's one thing you can count on in these unpredictable times, it's that you're in good hands getting some great radio, courtesy of The Mike Wagner Show.
We're back with author Renee Casteel Cook here on the Mike Wagner Show. She was the author of Meet Maddie, the Columbus Food Truck, Best of Trailer Food Diaries, and a great time to catch up, especially during the pandemic. And also tell us what else is coming up for you beside in 2021 and beyond that, Renee.
So aside from, having a steady stream of aspiring authors that are getting their books out, I've branched out from just cookbooks, and I am also supporting authors on copy editing. So we've got some novels coming out in the Spellbound Publishing portfolio that I'm really excited to see. It's always fun when you see that first manuscript. You give your edits, there's a process there, and then you get that book in your hot little hands. And it's almost the same feeling as when I got my own first book in my hands, because you've had such a piece of that author's work that you feel now passionate and, as a part of. So I'm excited about that whole catalog, both this coming spring, usually a May release. And then we've even got our lineup looking towards fall for October. So we'll be ready for the holidays. I'm also supporting a couple of marketing clients. So if you visit my website, which is just reneecaasteelcook.com, you'll see a lot of my writing there, both for Columbus Monthly Magazine, as well as a couple of clients that I have picked up during the pandemic. It's funny, we were talking, Mike, a little offline about how for those of us on the independent side of things, work has almost gotten busier during this time because we're all used to, working remotely, working from home, working any odd hours, and certainly having young ones. That's been the case during all of this with them home most all the time. So, keeping busy, looking forward to new things, and really hoping to see the return of Maddie when we get the right illustrator lined up.
Mm-hmm. And we're certainly looking forward to it. And once again, where can people find your works, and what's your website?
It's just Renee, so Renee, Casteel, Casteel, if I could spell my own name, and Cook, Renee Casteel Cook, Cook, no fancy E at the end there. So reneecaasteelcook.com. You can also find my author page on Amazon, and I have a separate page on Facebook for Renee Casteel Cook, the author, as well as Maddie the monkey. So if you want to check in just on Maddie, you're welcome to do that as well.
We certainly will do so. Once again, we're with Renee Casteel Cook, the author of Meet Maddie, the Columbus Food Truck, and the Best of Trailer Food Diaries on the Mike Wagner Show. Renee, a very big thank you for your time. It's great to have you back on again. Looking forward to having you again soon. Just keep us up to date, and make sure you bring the food truck in next time we talk as well, too. And certainly looking forward to have you on again soon. You have been absolutely terrific.
Thanks for having me, Mike. It's great to see you again and talk with everyone.
Hey, everybody. My name is Forbes Riley, and I'm an American actress and a TV host. And I was delighted when I got my copy of Missing, which is Extraordinary Relation of Ordinary People based on a real-life relationship. It's well written. It's amazing. It talks about a man who has lost his wife and his daughter, and it's very well done. I'm going to highly recommend that you go get your copy of Missing. It is a powerful, exciting read. Mr. Mian Moshe Zia. He is the author of Missing. And I want to give a big shout out and a kiss all the way halfway around the world to my dear friend. Check him out at Mia's website. It's called www.miamoshenzea.com. Missing, available on Amazon. Again, I'm Forbes Riley, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.
The Mike Wagner Show is powered by Sonic Web Studios. If you're looking to start or upgrade your online presence, visit www.sonicwebstudios.com for all of your online needs. Sonic Web Studios specializes in custom web design, app development, social networking, search engine optimization, domain registration, email marketing, online stores, and more. Since our birth, we have been designing and developing immaculate websites and providing web solutions which are a cut above the rest. As a leading web designing enterprise, we have a team of extremely talented web designers who are well-focused and have the experience of working on multiple web developing platforms such as PHP, Magento, Custom WordPress, and more. Sonic Web Studios has been helping businesses of all kinds, whether big, small, established, or startup, impress their audiences with exemplary web solutions. We don't just create beautiful and functional websites. We give you a complete online solution with the main goal of enhancing your yearly revenues. We aim to give your business the online exposure and brand acknowledgement that will help you in achieving increased conversions leading to profitable sales. Call 1-800-303-3960 or visit us online at www.sonicwebstudios.com to get started today. Mention the Mike Wagner Show and get 20% off your project. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level.
Thanks for listening to the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show can be heard on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, Anchor FM, Radio Public, and themikewagnershow.com. Please support our program with your donations at themikewagnershow.com. Join us again next time for another great episode of The Mike Wagner Show.